battery in or battery out when recording with an action camera using external power. Does it make a difference with overheating? Let's find out. Hi folks, I'm Don from 3BR Power Sports. I make external power kits for action cameras, starting way back with a Hero 3 Plus, all the way up to the current Hero 13 and everything in between. And I also recently started making kits for the Insta360 X2, X3, X4. I'm currently working on a kit for the X5, as well as the Ace Pro and Ace Pro 2. I frequently see comments about all action cameras overheating under certain circumstances. And I always say no action camera will overheat if set up properly for the conditions. And on the other hand, all action cameras will overheat if they're not set up properly. But there is a question of whether or not taking the battery out helps the overheating issue. And up until now, I haven't done any testing because personally I've never felt that it has a whole lot of impact on overheating. But recently I set up this arrangement to test and compare my new SunShield external power kits, and I got to thinking it's a perfect setup for testing the battery question. So I have two Hero 13s configured exactly the same, except one has a battery, one does not. And I have an Ace Pro and an Ace Pro 2, and again, one with the battery and one without. Now with the Hero 13, it's a great comparison. They're identical cameras, they're configured the same. With Ace Pro and Ace Pro 2, it's not that simple. They're actually quite a bit different cameras. One has two AI processors, one has one. And another thing about Insta360, which I have to say I'm not very fond of, is the fact that they charge the battery when recording. I really think this is a bad idea because it adds heat load to an action camera that's already running hot. Now, since the cameras are different, I can't treat them the same way as the Hero 13. So what I'm going to do is halfway through the test, I'm going to swap which one has the battery and which one doesn't. Now, back to the setup, I have each one of these cameras with a thermocouple on it. You can see it there. And located the thermocouple at what I found to be the hottest spot on the camera. And it's interesting to note both the GoPro and Insta360 as well as the DJI cameras I have, the Action 4 and Action 5, the hottest spot seems to be right between the lens and the front screen. Now those thermocouples are connected to a data logger that captures the data once every second, and the data logger is connected to my laptop and it's recording constantly. So let's have a look at how it all turned out. As you can see, the temperature difference between the two cameras was about 5 Fahrenheit degrees or 2.7, 2.8 centigrade degrees. So is that significant? Well, it could be if you're near the overheating limit of the camera, and then every degree counts. But for the most part, it's only about 4% of the overall temperature, so it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. By the way, if you wonder whether or not solar radiation has any effect on the heating of your camera, that temperature rise you see in the afternoon is due to the setting sun coming through the west-facing window and impinging on the cameras. Conversely, if you're wondering if airflow makes any difference the cooling of your camera, that precipitous drop at the end of the curve is due to my having turned on the ceiling fan directly over the cameras. Okay, let's have a look at the curves for the Insta360 Ace Pro and Ace Pro 2. And I have to say, I'm totally confused. I wasn't sure just what the cameras were doing. First off, I could not get the Ace Pro 2 to record properly with the battery removed. I tried both the USB TD charger and a BC 1.2 charger, and it would record for a couple of seconds and then stop. And I never could get it to work correctly. So I swapped the battery out of the Ace Pro into the Ace Pro 2 so I can at least get some testing going. And as you can see, there's nearly a 10-degree difference between the camera with the battery in and the battery out. And this is not surprising because again, Insta360 charges the battery when it's recording. Now in the afternoon, as the temperature started to go up due to solar radiation coming through the window, the Ace Pro with the battery installed started showing wide variations in temperature. It would rise and then fall and then rise again and going through the cycle several times. So I put a USB tester on it, and sure enough, the input current was varying along with the temperature. And the only thing I can think is that the battery was fully charged at that point and it would stop charging or the current would drop off because the battery was fully charged, and then it would discharge a little bit and then it would start charging again. So it's something I need to do a lot more testing on to understand exactly what's happening with the camera. So there you have it. Taking the battery out of a camera that's being externally powered while recording does make a difference in the overheating. In the case of the GoPro, it's about 5 degrees. Now, the mechanism's unclear. The only thing I can think of is with the battery removed, there's internal surface area where the heat can be radiated to surfaces that allow some dissipation of heat, like the bottom and the top. Because I have noticed that the bottom of a GoPro does get reasonably warm when it's operating. It's a different story with the Insta360 Ace Pro and Ace Pro 2. They both charge the battery when they're recording. So if you are recording in an environment where the camera will have a tendency to overheat, you're much better off removing the battery and recording without it.